have to say that I'm overwhelmed. There's been an aura of secrecy about my induction that's gone on for months. And I'm hard to keep a secret from, I think. But everybody did a great job, and this presentation is really, really special to me and to my family. The board meetings were quite intimidating early on of the Hall of Fame, always held at Moxie's restaurant. And on one side of the table were the sports broadcasters and writers, Danny Coughlin, Les Levine, Railbird Roberts. John Telich was too young to be inducted right away, I think, into that group. On the other side of the table was Jim Pender, John Furchel, me, and Andre Thornton. And it was so wonderful to spend time with Thunder Thornton over all of these years. What a great man he is. On the other side of the table with the sports writers was Ron Model, a long-time great star in this town. And I looked at him and I said, the last time I saw you, I deliberately struck out on 3 pitches in a Sandlot D game because I was scared to death of being hit by you. I don't know that he thought that was funny or not, but if his son Mickey is out here tonight, that's one of my favorite stories. As time went on, I really became invested in the mission of the Sports Hall of Fame. I would like to say that I'm honored to be inducted along with Stipe, Chris, Tiana, and Wanda. Now, I am not a great athlete. I'm not even a good athlete in most sports. But there's a fellow out here on the right who's sitting here who's an inductee who said something like, "You're a red ribbon guy in obscure sports." And that kind of characterizes me pretty well. It's been a great honor to watch the hall grow. As I look at the Hall of Fame as it's evolved, for years we talked about where we might put a permanent site. And names came up like the Terrace Club, the airport, League Park, the arcade. And for one reason or another, none of them materialized. But then when we saw what was going on here, and John described it very well, what a marvelous merger it would be to be part of this wonderful program of the school. So now today you have the Urban Community School, you have the Gallagher Early Childhood Center, you have Metro Health, you've got Urban Squash, this great building with the Hall of Fame, and you have a wonderful soccer field down the road. I think they call them soccer pitches. You have a lacrosse field, and you have, through the generosity of the Dolan family, the Doyle baseball field. Now, it's named after Sister Maureen Doyle. So there are a lot of Doyles in this room kind of taking credit for this. But I have to tell you that when we came out for the ribbon cutting of the baseball field, and you watch 750 kids from the school running the bases and sliding and whatever, it really choked you up. And this is the greatest story in this area of the country, in my opinion. I've had particular fun being involved in several of the inductions over the years. I remember one time we said we need to sit down and get a better backlog. And we're talking about football, and I said, well, what about Dick Brubaker? What? We don't have him? Well, he might have been one of the greatest overall athletes and minds coming out of this city, and he can't be with us tonight, but Dick was great. I had a call from a friend one day. He said, "You know that Ellis Burks has lived in this town for the last 20 years?" And I said, "No." So, well, he works out every day on Richmond Road, and he eats breakfast every morning at the House of Pancakes. So I took Jack Herrick over there, and we had our inductee. And those of you who heard his induction ceremony talking about how his grandmother insisted he go to college and not play sports because he couldn't, they couldn't afford it. And he was the #1 draft choice in the country when he came out. Ellis can't be with us tonight because he was coming, but his father's ill in Mississippi. And then there's the Renee Powell story. She's sitting right down here, a legend. And if you think she's a legend in this country, you ought to go overseas. I first heard her name in Scotland at the Royal and Ancient Club, where she has an educational building, and she has a plaque right up there in the men's clubhouse next to Tom Watson, and she's one of the great human beings, and she's with us tonight. I've had a lot of fun doing all of this, is what I'm trying to say. But coming back to it, I'm so honored to be associated with all of this and all of you. And John Herrick has done a fabulous job as chairman and forwarding the Jack Herrick Youth Sports Program and really running the show. We have a great board. And my buddies Bobby and John, what would it be not being able to chew the fat with those guys every day? And thank you all for coming, and I'm deeply touched by this. Thank you.